Alright guys, time to grab it back again today. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday so far. Today we're going to talk about day 4 of the Call of Duty World Championship. Just concluded, late one over here in the UK, given that 4 very intense matches just went down. Lots of storylines to discuss. Intrigued to hear your thoughts as always in the comment section below. 4 very interesting matches, the first one of which being London versus the Paris Legion. Scrap said right in the morning, just gone ATM and I've shot 1k bots, maybe implying that, well, the matches are played very early in the morning, much earlier than maybe we anticipated, given that, well, we thought maybe they were played a couple of hours early, 30 minutes earlier before the stream. Maybe it's even earlier than that. Not yet clear though. They go into this matchup. There's a pretty entertaining listening as well, where Zero said like this server is super skippy. The referee kind of told them just to crack on with it, but they end up winning it in a game 3 here, as Easy Max says. So 250-211 to London, 6-2 in the surge. Paris do win the domination in an impressive fashion, to be honest. Like London always get destroyed on this on this Hackney Yard domination, but they do win the game 4 to just about get the job done at the end. Impressive slaying, to be honest. Waskin especially with a 1.3. Shawnee with a real standout series in this one. Paris move out in top 12, and well, London Royal Ravens continue on in the tournament to fight another day. Then the second series is the one we've all been waiting for, as Octane says, that being OGLA versus the Minnesota Rocker. We got this drama we talked about a number of days ago with Draza versus Exceed. We'll have a look at exactly what that was in a couple of seconds here. So this came out at the time. OpTic Gaming did this tweet, effectively making fun of the Minnesota Rocker, making this roster change, right? Like taking Godorex out the team. Yes, they had lost 8 series on the bounce at this point, but you know, at the same time, Godorex has been one of your best players in the entire season. Bringing him out for Exceed was a questionable change in a lot of people's books. So OGLA kind of make fun of that. Then Exceed comes back with, ask your team how many maps they've won the last 3 times they scrimmed us. So you know, saying that we're just dominating them in scrims, we're crushing them, it's going to be easy if we do end up matching them at the World Championships, right? And Draza comes out with this one, say, haha, see you at champs, and similar replies from the other members of the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles team. Then we get this. So OGLA come out in game number 1. I mean, this was an unfortunate event, like as we get put up right here. 239 to 162, as you can see on screen. OGLA win this P2 rotation. They somehow get in the hill over at that, well, the courtyard area, I suppose, over at P3, and then break in phenomenal fashion. Somehow they let Slasher go on the flag, and Hollow hit the reflag for the 2-piece, and just remarkable the way OGLA were able to win this one. Honestly, the map of the day, to be honest, incredible. I mean, once again, Rocker just choke a series or choke a map that they should not be choking, and well, this obviously gets in their head to the point where they just get smoked the next couple of maps. And well, it wasn't pretty, to be honest. 6-1 OGLA, 161, 147 in the domination. I mean, they get absolutely wrecked, and well, Draza comes out with 3-0'd when it mattered. You know, like, I'm not going to say that, but you can see it in the thumbnail as well. I mean, just coming at Exceed, this has not been deleted or anything, like pure entertainment, to be honest. And Exceed, well, kind of has nowhere to run at this point. Kenny also came at it as well, like, bye-bye, stick to scrims at Exceed, saying, well, you can do all you want to scrims, but now you're playing Kenny at the World Championships in Texas, right? I think he's moved to Texas to have a better host for these matches. He was going off this series, as you can see right here. Kenny with a 1.4. We have not seen this Kenny in, well, a number of months, if not an entire season, right? So him with a 1.4, Slasher with a 1.29. Rest of the guys didn't have to do too much because the slang on the Minnesota Rocker was not there at all outside of that very first map there on Azir Cave. So yeah, incredible series, to be honest. OGLA get the job done in the end. Minnesota lose 10 series on the bounce to bow out of the, they bow out of the entire year. They haven't won a series in like 3 months. And well, the Exceed change certainly didn't help them. They were still having those, those old chokes coming back to haunt them. And OGLA honestly looking kind of scary right now down at that losers bracket to potentially make a run, having beaten Los Angeles Guerrillas and now the Minnesota Rocker. We'll look at how the bracket stacks up for tomorrow in a couple of minutes time here. The third series, of course, also relevant for the losers bracket, was Chicago Huntsmen versus the Atlanta FaZe. This was definitely a series that, well, we were looking forward to. It goes all the way to a game 5. It was 1-1 here on this Ramada, and as you can see, Huntsmen clutched this 2 versus 4. Should really never have happened. I mean, you know, FaZe throwing away their man advantage, and Huntsmen, it looked like they were going to be able to capitalize on this and end up winning the map. However, it doesn't happen. Major Maniac has a massive 3-piece later in the game. I mean, Pristini was in a great position to shut him down. I mean, it just doesn't happen, right? And we'll talk about Pristini in just a second, the way the series went on the whole. But Atlanta FaZe in a game 5 fashion. I mean, yes, I think, well, Chicago Huntsmen are very, very good in a game 5 fashion as well. They're also like 8-2 or something in their round 11s. They win another one earlier in this series against Atlanta FaZe as well on Azir K on Arklov Peak, sorry. But when it goes to this game 5, FaZe has got to be the team to favour, right? And they do it again in a very close fashion. As you can see, 251-77 Atlanta, 6-5 Chicago in the in the search and destroy. Atlanta just edge out the domination as well. Chicago in the game 4, but game 5 goes 6-4 to Atlanta. And this really is the slang that we've been talking about. And well, a number of commentators, I suppose, were discussing at the time. Slang on the side of Atlanta, relatively straightforward. I mean, Abizi and Freester are a fantastic series, to be honest. Not the players you necessarily expect to go off, but yeah, they got the job done. But it's this number down here for Pristini, right? I mean, the rest of the guys were doing what they could. Formal and Scump certainly had their moments in a number of those maps. They were dominating at times when it mattered, especially that game for St. Petrograd Hardpoint. Formal and Scum were absolutely shredding at times, but Pristini goes 59 in 90 or 52 in 90 over the series, 0.6 KD. One of the poorest performances he's had all year, right? And you've got to look at this series and just think, well, if we had a bit more production there, it could have been the difference maker, right? And it's not like his search and destroy KD was anything to talk about really either over the series with a 0.78. So yeah, not ideal. I mean, the Twins, honestly, as search and destroy in this series weren't the best. Just a tough series for Pristini. We're just going to have to see if he can bounce back tomorrow, right? Because he's a crucial player on the team. He's like your X factor, I suppose. We saw earlier when they actually won the event, when adding Pristini, the first one they played, Pristini, when he was going off, like that was the key factor, right? And we see this with a number of teams. They've got their, mainstead slayers that are always going to do relatively well. And you've got that X factor player who, if they are playing well, they're the player that's going to take over a game, or at least like bring your other teammates up to a level where you can win series against a team as good as Atlanta FaZe. We kind of saw that with Shawnee earlier on in the day here, kind of see that with Priester, I suppose, on Atlanta FaZe, and Pristini in kind of that similar role, couldn't get the job done. They lose the series in a game 5. Pretty big deal. They do go down to losers. Still definitely an opportunity to qualify for the championship weekend that we will look at tomorrow. Of course, what exactly the bracket looks like in some more detail here. But as Pristini says, I'm ready to blow up on myself. I have never been so mad or disappointed. To play as good as we did with me playing like that today is a positive, but I'm so heated at myself. I have never felt this type of anger in my entire life. And let's then talk about the final series of the day, an equally entertaining one, quite frankly, that being Dallas versus Toronto. This was a very interesting series once again, because Toronto come in on like a 6-win streak. They beat Dallas the last time they played them at their own home series. Dallas had obviously gone away and done their preparation for this series, come out swinging on the Azir Cave 251-82. We then go to St. Petrograd, Toronto clutch up, and then going into the game 3. I mean, this was a really, really close one, but Dallas definitely made a comeback towards the end. If there was another like 30 seconds on the game, Dallas probably win this one, but to be honest, Toronto win it. I mean, I have to sing the praises of Kleenex, to be honest. Since Kleenex has joined this team, their team went from 4-10 league records to 9-3, or now 9-4 after this series that they did lose. But still, remarkable stuff. I mean, again, maybe he's not quite the X factor on the team, but he seems to have brought his other teammates up to some sort of level. When he's frying, I mean, he's such a deadly player. You could see yesterday in that match against Toronto, or against the Florida Mutineers, he was the only player really putting up numbers, and because he was, they ended up winning this series. Like, that just shows how important he was on the team. He had like a 1.25. Rest of his teammates were nowhere near positive, and they're still winning the series against a team as good as the Florida Mutineers. That just shows what Kleenex is capable of, even in a difficult role. And to be honest, he had some great maps here as well, back and forth. But at some point the team, the production started to slow down. That happened in game 4 on the Gunrunner. Dallas absolutely wiped the floor with them on this one, outslayed them by like 45. I mean, Crimsix was like 32-17, absolutely slaying on, especially on those rotations. And as Rated says, did they change servers for map 4? That was a pounding. Like, did something happen? Did they change servers mid-series? What exactly is going on here? Did they give Dallas like an advantageous host from this game 4 or something? Like, what's going on, right? Because that was, certainly unexpected, I suppose. Then we go to the game 5 on Piccadilly, a map where Cammy has typically been very good, Bants as well, but on this one, the Dallas Empire unit was just working so strong together. Illy, Hook, like all over the map. Dominant performance, 6-2, went up 4-0. Toronto could never get anything going, and from a pretty solid series start, Toronto fall apart in the end. Losing the 2 hard points ended up being their downfall, and Dallas move on to the winners final. So Atlanta FaZe and Dallas Empire play one series this weekend, and they qualify for the winners finals. That's top 3 guaranteed at the very minimum, and $600,000 at the very minimum to boot as well. So remarkable stuff. As Crimsix says, GG's Toronto, moving on to next week. Glad we could step it up and win all, despite all the BS we dealt with before the series even started. Not sure what he's talking about here about this BS. I mean, maybe it's related to what Frosty and Fro might have been talking about with Classic, and potentially using like ATS or domination glitches or whatever. Something dodgy going on. Not exactly sure what Crimsix is referring to with this one. Maybe a storyline that may continue to develop into the future. As you can see in terms of the slang, Clayster with a 1.25. He was kind of the player that somewhat underperformed, I suppose, from his own expectations of himself a couple of weekends ago. Has a monster series right here, and and, you know, the rest of the slaying to be honest, super consistent. When Crimsix is having a good series, that's a very good sign indeed. And Illy, of course, in this role, well, I suppose the X-Factor role, again, we can talk about here, especially with the sniper in hand. When Illy is, well, dropping numbers and taking names, he's such a deadly force on the map as well. So yeah, Dallas Empire get the job done just about, and that leaves this as the bracket for the remainder of the championship weekend. We've had a lot of matches now, 4 games tomorrow to decide the top 4 of the World Championship. Atlanta FaZe and Dallas Empire, of course, are guaranteed in that top 3 slots. That's not going to be played until next weekend, but we have Florida versus the OGLA, New York Subliners versus London, which is going to be an exciting one. The winner of this then plays to Chicago to qualify. The winner of this bottom one plays the Toronto Ultra to qualify as well. Some big matches. We'll talk about that as well in tomorrow's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.